Thank you for joining the ProMark and Nutanix Mine webinar today with HYCU. My name is Kelly Berg, Senior Marketing Manager at ProMark Technology. This webinar will last approximately 45 minutes. In terms of general housekeeping, your lines have been muted for the duration of the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to type your question in the Q&A box on your screen. Questions will be addressed at the conclusion of the webinar. Thank you everybody for joining us today, and now I'll hand things over to Nutanix and HYCU. Team, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And good morning, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am Tuhina Goel, part of the product marketing team at Nutanix, and I typically cover everything around data protection. But today we will focus on talking about Nutanix Mine with HYCU. I'm today joined with Marko, who is the Director for Global System Engineering at HYCU. So let's get started. Let's quickly review the agenda before we dive into the Nutanix Mine with HYCU turnkey solution. I will first start with a quick refresher of the Nutanix platform and what it does in a typical customer environment, as well as the value that we deliver to our customers. We will look at what it means for data protection and a brief overview of Nutanix Mine. Then I'll hand it over to Marko to talk about HYCU in a nutshell, and then dive into the specifics of Nutanix Mine with HYCU. And we'll wrap it up with few questions to consider when proposing the solution to your customers. And obviously there's something for you at the end of the webinar. So stay tuned to receive an Amazon gift card before logging out. So I'm assuming that most of you are well versed with the Nutanix technology and our vision to bring a cloud-like experience into the data center. But I'll still do a quick refresher. If you look at a typical legacy data center infrastructure, it requires partnering with multiple vendors. So for example, if you focus on the compute layer, there are multiple players in that space, whether it is a Dell, a Cisco, or an HP. Then you have your SAN, your Brocade switches, storage arrays like the NetApps, EMCs, Dells, and many more. There's obviously some networking aspect that is required, and then there's the virtualization layer. So all in all, there's so much complexity, silos, and technology specialization which is required to deploy and manage this entire stack. It requires multiple weeks or even months to design and procure, deploy, as well as manage this stack on a day-to-day basis. It is difficult and time-consuming to increase capacity as your data footprint grows, as your business needs grow. So it's very difficult to scale this entire stack. You'll have to touch at least 3 to 4 or even 5 multiple management consoles staffed by different IT specialists to manage each of these layers. And finally, like troubleshooting can be a nightmare, especially when you're diagnosing poor performance or a failure. So because of all this complexity, there is actually no time left to focus on the actual application that is running in your environment. And your teams are just focused on really managing this complex infrastructure. And I'm sure like you must be hearing this a lot from your customers, because this is what a day in the life of an IT admin looks like. Nutanix Enterprise Clouds really simplifies this design, construction, and deployment of IT infrastructure for your customers. It converges all the IT resources that we just talked about into a single scale-out solution that can run any application. So now instead of the separate silos of storage, servers, and your network, you have this single solution which is very easy to use, manage, and scale. Our Nutanix's core IP is in our software. We have a 100% software solution that can run on off-the-shelf servers from all the leading server manufacturers that we partner with. So we provide the customers a freedom to choose any underlying hardware that they have already standardized on and run Nutanix software on top of it. IT teams can now really start small without committing to investing into the entire infrastructure in one go, and then typically start with just 3 servers and then scale without limit as the business grows. And with introducing AHV, which is our own hypervisor 3 years back, we are also now integrating the management of the virtualization layer into the same Prism management control, which is used to manage the underlying hardware or infrastructure. So basically what it really allows the customers to do is not only manage the infrastructure, but also the hypervisor through the same management console. This entire software stack can be upgraded with a single click without any disruption to the production environment. So basically what this really solves is, in your customer's environment, all this automation team really helps them to focus on business critical applications that are running rather than just focus on keeping the lights on of the data center. So if you were just to take 100,000 feet perspective of the whole infrastructure, what it really means is that Nutanix offers customers an integrated compute, storage, networking, virtualization with built-in security, all managed from the same user interface, making it very simple to deploy, scale, and offer predictable performance. So as we've been discussing so far, Nutanix has been focused on simplifying and delivering an integrated platform for your primary infrastructure. That's where the most critical business applications are running, whether it is databases or Exchange or VDI and many more. And here's where we have been very strong in delivering value to your customers. But if you were to look at it from the data perspective, a lot of data is still kept around for backup, for archival, for analytics, for running dev test applications, etc. This data is constantly moving outside the primary infrastructure of your customer's data center to basically secondary storage. And thus customers really tend to lose control over it gradually because this is not what they control truly. However, it is extremely important and efficient to manage this data efficiently and mine all this data and use it as an asset rather than paying for it and not being able to retrieve it or use it. However, a lot of same complexity, silos, and specialist teams that exist with the primary infrastructure that Nutanix has really solved for also exist with the secondary infrastructure or the secondary storage, whether it is managing SAN or managing public cloud or managing devices such as tape, etc. So there's still a lot of complexity that goes into managing secondary storage. With Nutanix Mine, we really aim to cover the breadth of data center deployments spanning across primary as well as secondary data center and bringing hyper-converged to secondary storage. Let's discuss about few of the challenges associated with traditional backup solutions. Legacy backup can be complicated and can take too much time to deploy and manage, requiring resources that could be spent doing much more productive tasks that drive your customer's business. So designing an enterprise-grade backup system is a highly complex process where customers really need to piecemeal multiple software and hardware solutions from different vendors. So just imagine a customer need to choose an appropriate backup software, then pair it with one or more target storage such as disk, tape, cloud, etc., and provision infrastructure for long-term archival of data. Then if anything changes in the environment, they need to make sure that data protection infrastructure can handle it. And whenever there is an aspect of scaling, they have to make sure that they can buy the right amount of licenses to support the growing data protection infrastructure. So the key points associated with the existing secondary storage environment is that the backup solutions are typically provided by 5 or 6 vendors, which are siloed across dozens of different locations in aging infrastructure. This adds both cost and complexity to managing these point solutions. There's also finger pointing between different teams and different vendors when SLAs are not met, or in case or event of data loss or any kind of planned or unplanned event of data centers going down. Secondary data is often referred as dark data, as no one knows where it really lies, how to retrieve it, and most importantly, how to derive any insights from it. So all these reasons make secondary data just a liability rather than a digital asset for the customers. And as the data grows in the customer's primary environment, there is a spiraling storage cost associated with adding capacity in the secondary environment. And it is very difficult to foresee how much capacity you need to add in your secondary to support the data growth in your primary environment. And to top all of this, the backup speeds are either too slow, and at times the backup operations are completely unsuccessful. So to solve all these challenges that we just discussed, we are introducing Nutanix Mine, powered by HYCU. Nutanix Mine is available today as a hyper-converged dedicated backup appliance. It combines all the hardware and software components required to support any virtualized or three-tier legacy environment. It really integrates with the enterprise-grade data protection software from HYCU that runs in a hyper-converged manner on the Nutanix core platform. So if you look at it, it is an entirely self-sufficient turnkey solution providing compute, memory, storage, and now backup in a single solution. This truly integrated backup solution offers performance and simplicity of Nutanix HCI with the robust and industry-proven capabilities of HYCU backup software. Nutanix Mine can back up both VMs and application data from Nutanix as well as non-Nutanix environment. It supports both physical and virtual workloads as well as legacy three-tier workloads. Basically, anything that HYCU can back up, Nutanix Mine with HYCU can back up. Nutanix Mine with HYCU also enables granular data recovery for mission-critical applications and provides path to longer-term retention to any S3 compatible storage such as Nutanix Objects, public cloud, tape media, and much more. So basically the winning proposition here is that we are marrying the best HCI solution and HYCU's leading backup capabilities to create a modern and efficient backup solution. Most important point to note here is also that Mine is tightly integrated with Nutanix's HCI data fabric and advanced Prism management console. So what it really means for your customers is that for the first time, any data center IT admin can really rely on just one management console to manage both their primary part of the infrastructure as well as the secondary storage, which is running on Nutanix Mine with HYCU. So quickly talking about few of the advantages or benefits that really the Nutanix Mine with HYCU platform delivers. So it is an enterprise-grade solution because of the capabilities, the robust capabilities of the Nutanix core platform, as well as the enterprise-grade data protection software from HYCU. So if customers are already familiar with the Nutanix platform, they understand that it is self-healing, highly resilient. The core value that we derive is basically from the distributed storage fabric, and most of these features are inherited by the Nutanix Mine appliance. Unified IT operations really means that the customers really care about simplicity and scalability, and as a result, they have adopted Nutanix in their primary. So using a single management pane, as I just mentioned, for managing both their primary and secondary is one of the key assets of this platform. So it really unifies the IT operations and kind of cuts down all those silos that existed. Scaling is all about the ability to expand the secondary infrastructure to scale as the business or the data footprint grows in primary. So customers can really start small. They don't have to commit to a much bigger appliance. And then as their data footprint grows, they can decide to scale their secondary appliance by adding more nodes to the Mine appliance. Fast time to value, because it really provides an end-to-end improved customer experience, making it very easy to size their backup environment, to ordering it as a single SKU, deploying it, managing it, and scaling it through a very unified platform. And finally, we've always believed in providing a freedom of choice to our customers. So there is, again, flexibility to back up both physical and virtual environments, supporting multiple hypervisors, and also the ability to tier off all this operational backed up data into a more long-term archival cold data tiers. So it's tightly integrated there. So before I hand it over to Marko, let's quickly see what Mine with HYCU is gonna make. What is it gonna deliver to the customers? So basically, we all know about simplicity. We've spoken about simplicity already quite a bit. So Nutanix is tightly integrated with HYCU and using a single management console. But it really helps customers to manage both their backup software as well as the underlying infrastructure with an integrated console. HYCU is built on Nutanix, and it complements all the features that Nutanix natively has to offer. So it has a very tight integration with Nutanix volumes and files. It provides completeness of coverage in terms of backing up both, again, the physical infrastructure, supporting the hypervisors, and also backing up volumes and files. HYCU has been purpose-built for Nutanix because it preserves the HCI simplicity. What it really means is that it really leverages the power of Nutanix snapshots to really reduce the impact on the production workloads. And then again, it supports any kind of workload, all enterprise-grade or mission-critical workloads that are running in the customer environment. So with this, I will hand it over to Marko to talk a little bit about HYCU and talk about the differentiation in what HYCU with Mine really has to offer for our customers.
Thank you, Tuhina. Thanks for this great overview. Can you just confirm you can see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Great.
Hello, everyone. Hello also from my side. So my name is Marko Ljubanovic. I'm heading our SCs in HYCU globally. And it's a pleasure to be here with you today. So without further ado, let us talk a bit more about Nutanix Mine with HYCU. So first of all, just a little bit about a company and about what HYCU is and what was built on top of. So HYCU is a US-based company in Boston, and we've been in the business for a little bit over 25 years in the backup world. And we have actually, a couple of years back, we've decided to utilize all this know-how into building a purpose-built backup solution for Nutanix-led data centers. Okay, so what this means is we've used this know-how to build HYCU with some design concepts in mind. And obviously, first of it being simplicity, which you've heard so much about. But again, simplicity is a new age simplicity, something that you need to try to understand comparing to anything else. So when you talk about this is a very nice slide, exceptionally saying what it's all about. And 3-minute deployment is the first thing which I want to touch about, because HYCU is, again, a software-only solution, right? And this makes it perfect fit on top of Nutanix storage platform. And it actually deploys literally inside 3 minutes, which when you think about enterprise backup platforms is a completely different thing. And another thing is a 4-minute learning, which is, again, seems like a marketing slide, but it actually isn't. Why? Because the look and feel, the concepts and the terminology very much goes together with what Nutanix brings. And whoever is using HYCU is very much at home when using Nutanix and HYCU together. We often even get a question if this is Nutanix or this is HYCU because of all of this together. And another thing, again, application focus. So application focus meaning we really do care about the apps. And as so Nutanix always points out, we want to make everything else is actually irrelevant for the end customer. They want to care about their data and the applications. And we very much go together with this. So we started with Nutanix. Obviously, we were the first solution to deliver HV support, and often customers and prospects think, yeah, this is just an HV solution. Thing is, we've come a long way since then, and we've supported Nutanix in all possible ways, including ES6 and non-Nutanix, including vSphere, including physical, making Nutanix Mine with HYCU a proper enterprise-ready solution for your customers. And then again, you think about targets. So what is it, where is it that the backup solution is going to offload data to? And we today are talking obviously about Mine. And we would love that Mine is all around, and it will be, I'm sure. Obviously, in the real world, there is a combination of everything. Some customers might have a different storage, which they might want to utilize as well, or some other storage for tiering off data. And HYCU is very much here supporting pretty much every possible solution to go together with Mine as well. So Mine with HYCU can also support other targets and tiering off data into other capacities, even objects and volumes and so on. So all this together makes HYCU what it is, proper purpose-built backup solution for Nutanix, a simple solution. Now, when you talk about simplicity, you might think it's a thing about, yeah, it's a simple UI, it's simple to use. But simplicity is actually, in its true meaning, is much more than that. Simple means that you automate things and you don't do things which you don't have to anymore. When we talk applications, for instance, number one, applications in an old legacy backup softwares, what happens is you need to go into a VM. You need to tell the backup software what this VM does, what kind of app it has, where are the data files, where are the logs, and so on, what are the credentials. With HYCU, this all goes away. The whole concepts of not knowing what is the application, where it is, telling the software where it is. We have a patented application auto discovery and auto configuration, meaning you just give us credentials, we will discover all the applications which you have in your environment, and then you can completely focus on the app, assigning policy on the applications, and letting HYCU do the job by the book for each of the applications, making sure it's properly application consistently backed up. So that's number one, right, when it comes to simplicity. Number two, there is another point of intelligence, and this is a feature which I really love. It's a feature which is, I often even ask my customers and prospects, what is the most important thing in your protection, in your data protection? And often I get a answer. It is, yes, we need to be able to recover the data inside the given time frame, as dictated by the business. And then you ask your customers, how is it that you know if you can recover the data inside the given time frame? And that's where the eyes go a bit left and right. Thing is, no software will actually give you this intelligence. And with HYCU, based on the throughputs, based on the knowledge which we have about the platform, constantly updating everything, we are able to estimate and assure that the given RTO time or given recovery time objective can be met. So if you are green in HYCU, you can sleep. This means you're green, you're compliant to your business. And this is a peace of mind that no other software will give you. And that's, again, another point of simplicity and intelligence. And the third part is about intelligence is obviously integration. We want to leverage your platform. You invested into the best platform, hyperconverged platform in the world, and you obviously want to leverage it to the fullest. And HYCU is the only one which is going to give you this. And using change block tracking and change file tracking to maximize the performance, maximize the throughput, limit the burden on the systems. With features like copy from replica, which I'm going to talk about more, with features where we support volume groups natively, near sync replication of Nutanix very simply and integrated. So all of this makes HYCU and Nutanix Mine with HYCU a very intelligent, simple solution. This is what simplicity is. Now, when we talk about recovery, obviously backup is a great thing. Next thing, greater or even more important sometimes is to do a recovery. And first of all, you want this automated. You do not want to dig deep into and read manuals to find out how to recover something. So in HYCU, this is all pre-checked, pre-configured, eliminates human errors. You can very much automate, do every possible recovery within HYCU. We also integrate with Nutanix snapshots. And when we were thinking about how to use Nutanix snapshots and how to perform best and possible instant recovery, we said, well, there isn't anything faster or better than a Nutanix storage layer snapshot. So why not utilize this for instant recovery? And this is exactly what we do. So with HYCU, we integrate in such a level with Nutanix that you're able to keep multiple of these Nutanix snapshots on the Nutanix, if you like, so because of use case where majority of restores actually do happen within first couple of days or a week. And you can utilize this integration to perform very much fastest instant recovery possible. If not, obviously you can restore directly from the target as well. And you can do this granularly. You can recover VMs, disks, single files, folders to different locations. And when it comes to applications, again, we have the same granular approach where even though you backed up on the snapshot layer, you still have the application awareness, which gives you application level recovery, granular database recovery, point-in-time recovery, where you can recover your database just a minute or a second before the accident happened. And at the end of the day, we built also self-service. Why? Because of enterprise customers and because of service providers as the biggest use cases for us, where we want these customers, these service providers in the new world want to delegate responsibility in a big company to their own IT organizations, or service providers want to expose backup also to their customers. And with HYCU, we very much implement a multi-tenancy role-based approach to user management, where customers can actually utilize the power of HYCU as well. Okay, so this gives us an overview of what HYCU is all about. So let's talk about what Mine with HYCU is all about. So when we talk about Nutanix is very much a platform, and this is something which we saw very early in the game. So Nutanix is not just about a replication. It's not about replication. It's just about hypervisor. It's about the whole platform configuring and adding, producing constantly new innovations, and pretty much defining the core of every data center. It has the snapshots, it has the clone, it has the replication. And as with HYCU, we wanted to utilize this as a platform, not reinvent the wheel. So what we do with Nutanix, we complement what Nutanix already brings to the market, brings to the data center. We complement it with additional features to support backup, archive, and various different features on top of Nutanix, right? So what's important here to note is that HYCU utilizes the platform to the fullest. It does not reinvest or reinvents the features which Nutanix already brings to the market. Now, also when it comes to Nutanix and Mine, the first question coming up is, how is it delivered? What is it? So HYCU is actually running on the Nutanix storage cluster. It's a separate storage cluster with specially designed for storage, right? And it comes in two form factors. It's a 2U or with 96 terabytes, or a 4U with 192 terabytes. And obviously it can scale up as well as you require more storage in the secondary storage layer. So when it comes to licensing, this is where the beauty is, where you now have an integrated package with Nutanix Mine and HYCU VM-based licensing as well. This might not fill all the customers, so you can also get let's say a naked Mine standalone license with a specific HYCU license for a specific use case as well. Or if you already have an existing HYCU license, you can simply add on as well. And obviously you have a Nutanix Mine standalone licenses in case of expansions as well. So this is what Mine looks like, right? This is what you get. Now, when we talk about deployment of Nutanix Mine with HYCU and how is this going on? So what you get is your Nutanix Mine, same as you love your Nutanix storage, your Nutanix clusters. You get a similar Nutanix cluster for storage. You deploy Mine, you deploy HYCU virtual appliance on top of Mine, as I mentioned before, as a software-only solution in literally 3 minutes. You just configure the virtual appliance virtual machine. And what you do is, what we created now with Nutanix and Mine, we created a specific new target type available in HYCU. And this obviously target type is called Nutanix, as you would imagine. And what this does is it simplifies the whole provision and integration with Mine storage. And not only that, it actually utilizes Nutanix storage to its fullest, because it will configure it. It will configure the volume groups, the HYCUs, the disks, the containers, everything in the most appropriate fashion based on each of the Nutanix storage clusters, right? Purpose built, following the best practices of Nutanix, which means you will be getting the best performance out of this Nutanix storage cluster. And at the end, what you also do, you simply add a Prism UI plugin with when Mine system is detected. So we do that, and this means that finally, a question we've been asked over and over since version 1 of HYCU, hey, this looks very much like Nutanix. When are you going into Prism? Finally, we are in Prism. I'm very, very happy and proud to say that we are in Prism finally. So this means that now from the Prism management console in Mine, you can follow the progress of your backups. You can see the status of the storage, and you can, based on where you click, it will lead you into HYCU to perform additional actions. For instance, if something is running out of compliance, you can click on uncompliant. It will lead you exactly to that point in HYCU, to those VMs which are not compliant, and you can then check it out and make actions on top, right? So this is what Nutanix and Mine deployment looks like. Very simple, couple of steps, literally can be done in 5 minutes already. When we talk about Nutanix and HYCU, we talk about, I think, at least a very good partnership, or very great partnership, I would say. And why is this so? When we talk about this, it's the fact that Nutanix innovates at incredible speeds. And whatever gets innovated, whatever gets delivered by Nutanix needs data protection. Customers will not buy something if they can't even protect it at the end of the day. And what HYCU was built for and dedicated itself since the very beginning is to be the first one immediately to support a feature as soon as it goes out and is released by Nutanix. Often even together, because we work with Nutanix engineering very closely, so that we come together on the market supporting immediately the features which are brought in, right? So this means volume, this means the volume backups using snapshots. So snapshotting the volume groups, change file tracking, near sync, volumes, objects, and so on, right? So all of this goes together. And even when it happens that you upgrade your Nutanix clusters, HYCU is immediately there, already testing the pre-release versions of Nutanix so that we can immediately support new versions of Nutanix AOS as it gets released, right? This is again what means purpose-built for Nutanix. Not only built, but being constantly updated as well. And again, this is a slide which we all like and love it actually at HYCU, because it shows a lot of features which nobody else has on the market. And I've talked about some, like recovery time assurance and automated discovery applications. We also bring snapshot-based, very efficient, impact-free backup of SAP HANA, for instance, which is running on Nutanix. We also bring the fact that we are completely agentless for everything we do inside HYCU. There is no proxies. There is no agents. I don't know how you want to call them. There are different names which are getting called these agents, right? And one of the things which is also interesting is backup from replica or VM stun-free backups on ES6. So all of these things, this is our brag sheet, and it's again shows the very uniqueness of HYCU's value on top of Nutanix and what HYCU with Mine brings to the table. So when we talk about how to implement, what is it that we implement with Nutanix, Mine, and HYCU, there are a couple of architectures which we can look at. So obviously the basic, you can have a local backup appliance which is backing up your Nutanix clusters. This can also be a remote backup appliance if you have multiple sites backing up remotely to a different site where you can have your separate storage with Mine. Then there is a specific use case with robos. So if you have multiple branch offices, 1, 2, 5, 10, hundreds, HYCU has a very, very specific feature called backup from replica, which was actually built for Nutanix IT internally, which is using this feature as well. And this feature allows HYCU not to back up a VM from the remote site, but it is allowing it to back up the VM from its replica in the central data center where the mine storage is lying as well, which means you do not transfer the data twice, you do not need to manage anything inside the robo sites, and you can restore your data wherever you like, back into the main data center or into robo. So bringing a lot of huge value add-on for a lot of our customers using branch offices. But this can also be applied not only to branch offices, but even broad and DR scenarios. And as well, obviously, we had a lot of questions. Can Nutanix Mine also archive? Of course. So we can use clouds for archive, or we can use S3. And S3 is actually nothing else than what objects use. So Nutanix objects can be used as well on top of Nutanix Mine for archiving storage, giving you a third copy of your data as well. So to close it up, to close all this up, there are a couple of questions which you might want to ask yourself when thinking about choosing secondary storage. And we thought a lot about what are these 5 questions, which are actually something that you want to ask yourself and make sure that you choose the right platform. So first of all, ease of management. You really, in today's world, rarely anybody has time to learn or has time to play with things or read documentation. You want ease of management. You want simplicity. You want scalability, as Tuhina was saying at the beginning. You want to be able to grow modularly, right? You also want automation. So this is obvious, again, from the time perspective, again, from the ease of use. And applications, right? As we've been mentioning in the beginning, application is the focus of every customer. Application is the data which is their most valuable asset, which they want to protect. And you want to make sure that applications are properly consistently protected in an efficient and scalable way, allowing, for instance, recovery and proper recovery of options with granularity and point-in-time recovery. And at the end of the day, you use Nutanix. You bought the best in the breed for your data center. And at the end of the day, you want to be sure that you use this platform to its fullest. You want to use the change tracking options. You want to use snapshots, Nutanix storage layer, best in the breed snapshots. You want replication, right? So all of these things, when you think about a secondary storage with Nutanix, this is what you really should be looking at. And when you think about how HYCU is doing with these options, obviously we didn't choose the bad ones. There are no bad ones when you think about it. So what we bring on top of this is, one, ease of management. You have now finally the one integrated UI with no switching, where you can clearly follow and monitor everything we are doing with backup as well inside the Prism element. You have the modular scalability. You have the same UI. You can gradually upgrade. You can add storage into your Nutanix Mine. You have the built-in self-service with HYCU, which exposes fully the REST APIs as well, allowing automation for pretty much anything. And we were talking already about our patented application configuration and discovery. So again, a perfect complement to what Nutanix brings. And at the end of the day, there is no other solution that so much integrates with Nutanix and adds so much value on top of what Nutanix features bring, and so much collaborates with Nutanix that as soon as Nutanix releases the features, is there to support it as well. So this is what Nutanix Mine is in essence, and this is what Nutanix Mine brings to our customers. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope if you want to learn more, if you want to sell more, just register a deal before end of the day on Jan 17 with a hashtag Mine webinar, and you will actually get even a $25 Amazon gift card as well. So keep it simple. It's simple as doing a deal registration. So we are pretty much at the end of the session. So before thank youing, I really would like to open it up for questions as well. So Kelly, I'm not sure if we do have any questions from the audience.
Thank you, Marko. Thank you, Tuhina. We actually do have a few questions. The first question is, will HYCU work with others' HCIs?
with other HCIs, meaning it's a question which is, so currently HYCU focuses on Nutanix. We do support also Nutanix. We also do support vSphere, as well as physical environments as well. So will it work with other HCIs? It's a question maybe for our product management. But for now, we are focusing on Nutanix, and we are focusing very much on cloud as well.
Next question is, my prospects are concerned about backing up Nutanix to Nutanix. Any comments on that?
That's actually a very good question, and it's a question which we even see often from the field. So I would say, if you or your customer believes in Nutanix, the best hyperconverged platform in the world, with its production data, there is nothing to stop you from trusting it also with your backup data. And from a best practice perspective, definitely, it makes sense to keep it on a, let's say, a lower patch level. You don't want to upgrade all of the things at once, but there is nothing wrong with backing up Nutanix to a Nutanix. In the case of HYCU's disaster, HYCU is able to protect itself as well. We can back up our own virtual machine and be able to recover back HYCU VM into production very simply, and then perform recovery of other VMs as well.
Yeah, thanks, Marko. I'd like to add to that, and I completely agree with what you said. Just to add to that comment is that Nutanix Mine is basically designed to be its own standalone cluster.
Exactly.
So if there was anything, if at all, to happen to the primary cluster, which in most cases won't happen because of the self-healing and the resilient nature of the production cluster, but if it were to go down, Nutanix Mine is in its own a standalone cluster, so there will be no impact on the functionality of the mine with HYCU cluster if the primary goes down. So it's typically like any other backup target or a backup appliance.
Exactly. And even itself has its own resiliency, right? So,
right.
Yep.
Great. There's one more question. How do I upgrade Nutanix Mine with HYCU?
So yeah, it's very, very simple. So basically you upgrade them separately. You will upgrade your Nutanix AOS and Nutanix same as you would your production Nutanix. So, zero downtime upgrade of Nutanix, which we all love. And with HYCU, it comes probably as close as it can to Nutanix, and very much simple and risk-free. So what is happening with HYCU is during upgrade, you simply select a new image of HYCU. We will create a new VM, reboot, clone the data disk to it, and it's a matter of a couple of minutes when the upgrade will be completed. And the old VM of HYCU is actually kept intact, so it's a very much risk-free couple of minutes upgrade of HYCU as well.
Thank you. And there's one more question. Do you need additional software license for Windows or SQL to run with Nutanix Mine with HYCU?
No. So the answer is no here. So basically the license in HYCU, so the HYCU part of the license for the HYCU software in HYCU for Mine is very much not on the, it's, let's say, comprehensive in a way that when you buy a license, you get all the other features as part of the license. You get SQL, you get Windows, you get Linux, it doesn't really matter. You have in HYCU a license for VMs and apps, and you have a specific license for Nutanix files on top, or you can have it combined as well. But there is no granularity when it comes to these type of small little features in HYCU.
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, any license that the customer requires to run the Mine appliance with HYCU is pre-packaged, as Marko said, with the Mine with HYCU SKUs. So there's no procuring of different licenses for Microsoft, etc. So everything that you need is already pre-packaged into that one license.
And lastly, do you recommend specific networking configurations?
From the networking perspective, we want, or best practice would be to keep HYCU on the management network where the CVMs are running. And other than that, there is no specific add-ons. If you have specific networking for targets, you might want to add additional network card to HYCU to be able to back up also to the specific target. But other than that, there is nothing specific to it.
All right. That concludes our webinar today. Thank you everyone for joining. This webinar has been recorded. A recording link will be sent to everyone that attended, and we thank you for attending today.
Thank you.
Thank you.